Hey, hi, hello there. How are you? I'm Melissa. This is Random Ass Missy. Um, I am now on episode 2. And if you happen to come over from the Tiki Talk, yes, I'm wearing the emotional support hoodie. This is my emotional support hoodie. This silly hoodie gets worn and washed more than it should. It's like the adult version of a baby blanket. I won't lie to you. I wear it all the time. I don't even like the color of it. I hate this color green. I don't care. This was actually supposed to be a John Deere hoodie and it never got its logo. So it got given to me. So here we are. And Tyler, if you see this, thank you. I still love this stupid hoodie. Tyler, you also shouldn't be watching this. Nobody should be watching this that I know in real life. I'm just saying. Anyways, that's like my caveat, right? Like, if you know me in real life, like from the past, maybe not from like this current reality, but like past, uh, you're going to be confused or upset with me. And that's okay. You're allowed to feel that way. You're allowed to feel however you feel about what I say. You're just not allowed to be an asshole to me about it. And I think that's why I'm like, hey, if you know me in real life, don't watch this because I don't want you to be an asshole to me. I'm sick of people being an asshole to me. Even when they feel like they're not being an asshole, they're probably being an asshole. And I'm like, cool, thanks. I'm never talking to you ever again. That's not what happens, but I always think that like when someone's being like just really, really, really not nice, I'm like, man, I just want to walk away from this conversation and never talk to this person again. And that probably says something about me, but remember, trauma. There's lots of trauma, okay? And I've healed a lot of it. I've healed a lot of it. I've worked through so much of my trauma and I'm really proud of myself. And like even a couple months ago, I couldn't tell you I was proud of myself. I couldn't tell you how much I had healed because the dust was still settling. So the dust has mostly settled at this point, and I can see how far I hiked across that barren desert and how it almost killed me who knows how many times. But here we are, and we're getting close to the edge of the desert. I can see something else upon the horizon. I just don't know what it is yet. Thank goodness it's not a mirage, because we've fallen for that a few times. Let me tell you what. Anyways, I am a lot of metaphors, and I'm kind of dramatic, and I'm really sorry. I'm a Pisces, okay? um, so today I actually have a topic that I would like to talk about. I'd really like to talk about authenticity today. Um, and I had made a TikTok about it, how, I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't remember exactly what I said because that doesn't stay in the memory. My RAM is low, okay? So I made a TikTok about uh, being the most authentic version of yourself so the people that are for you can find you. Because if you're not being you, then you're going to attract the people to the person you are being. Like if you're masking heavily like I was, you're going to attract the people that are attracted to the mask. But if you're authentically yourself, you're going to attract the people that are attracted to you, the authentic person. And then you can have more quality relationships and feel safe in your own, reality. Because a lot of times, if you're traumatized, you're not safe, right? Even if all of the trauma has ended, you don't ever feel like you're safe. You don't ever feel like you can relax. You don't ever feel like you can be who you want to be because it's not safe to be that person, right? So if you can make yourself feel safe first, then be the most authentic version of yourself in that safety, then you are going to flourish and all of your relationships are going to flourish. And first, a lot of people are going to fall out of your life, a lot of them, because they are unsure what's happening, right? And maybe they don't like the authentic version of you, and if they don't, then you're not for them, and that's okay, and you can send them on their way with love, right? But more more often what happens is you trigger them, and when you trigger somebody they usually react poorly, unfortunately. Not everybody does, but most people will react really poorly to being triggered. And you could just like exist and trigger someone, and that's not your problem. Please don't ever think that that's your problem when you trigger someone. Like, yes, we can't go around triggering everybody all the time, but like, if you are just trying to be you and you're not trying to hurt anybody, like them getting triggered is about them. It's absolutely about them. And this isn't for everybody, because there are people who um just go around pushing people's buttons just because they can. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people just trying to be their most authentic self, and that triggers somebody else because maybe that somebody else doesn't know how to be their most authentic self. And maybe they're jealous that you get to be you and they don't get to be them. And that is really valid. And I don't know why my camera keeps looking at the light like that. So we're going to move this a little bit. I'm sorry, I have you on my laptop. I'll figure something out. But for now, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to deal with this. I'm staring at myself on my laptop, which is so weird. I hate looking at myself, but I'm just totally staring at myself on my laptop right now, pretending I'm talking to you when I see me. And it's just, anyways, right. That's part of authenticity though. Like I'm telling you, I'm triggering myself, staring at myself, but here we are. It's not that bad. I'll be fine. I think the problem that I get into when I stare at myself for too long is I start moving differently because I'm like, oh, I need to be like this so I don't get that double chin, when really it's just because there's fluid buildup there that I need to drain out and I haven't yet today. Um, or, I have always been made very aware of how much space I take up in a negative way. I think I started getting called fat in like the second grade. Uh, yeah, it was the second grade because in first grade I was like super skinny because I had just grown. And then in second grade I was just like, "Boo," and I was a cute, chubby little kid, and everybody teased me mercilessly for it because that was the easiest thing, right? I was other, I was different, and they couldn't quite put their finger on why I was different other than the fact that I was fat. So that was the easy thing to go for, right? Because you have to somehow defend the way you feel about somebody. So they would just like gravitate to fat. We must ostracize this person because they're fat, because they don't look like us. When really, I think it was a deeper problem that I'm just kind of I'm a funny little guy. um, I have always been very aware of my otherness in a group of people. Like they all tend to be similar, and then there's me, and I'm like, well, here we are. Okay. And sometimes I will make other people comfortable by like pretending to assimilate, like because people get really triggered by me, and sometimes I think that makes me an asshole. Uh, but when I'm just trying to exist and people are triggered, like that's not my problem. That's it. That's a them problem. And I don't know. Let's not go there. Let's not go there because we talked about that a little last time and it was a whole thing. But authenticity, right? So we find a way to be safe in our own skin and in our own reality. And once we're safe in our skin and safe in our reality, and the lizard takes a nap, because like that lizard brain, that lizard brain at the base of your skull, like is the one that's like, oh my god, we're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, when really you just have to make a phone call. I need to make this phone call, and the lizard's like, oh my god, we're gonna die. Excuse me. I get a little too excited about making voices. Sorry about that. Okay, so we trigger the lizard, and the lizard is like, sound the alarm, and then the adrenaline starts and the mess happens, and after long enough we get addicted to the stress. We absolutely will get addicted to the stress, and once you're addicted to the stress, you are going to go out of your way to stress yourself out. You won't do it intentionally, no one ever actually wants to be stressed. But the lizard is like, this is all we know. So this is what we're doing. And your brain's like, yeah, I don't want to make new pathways. I want to travel down the same pathways that are already there in the meat jelly. And so, all the electrical impulses go through the paths that are well worn in the meat jelly. And so you get addicted to the stress and you will become a self fulfilling prophecy. I am a firm believer that what you believe creates your reality. So if you are convinced that you are unsafe, you will constantly be in a state of fight or flight, and the lizard will sound the alarm, and you will absolutely become addicted to the stress. And you will only be able to function in stress. So you will make your own stress. And I feel like that is where a lot of us are right now, is in this just like constant cycle of stress and self-fulfilling prophecies, because your brain would rather know what's going to happen than have something better happen. Let me say that for you again. Your brain would rather know what is going to happen than have something new happen, even if it's better than the thing that it knows. Straight up. Your brain wants to know what's going to happen. Some of us are a little more okay with the unknown than others, but like, people don't like change. People just don't like change. I want to tell you that I like change, and most of the time I like change, but there are things that I really don't want to change, but I know they need to, and so I'll go for it. And that's another thing. Like, just because you're scared doesn't mean you can't do something. Like, do it scared, do it terrified. Like, it's not going to kill you to be terrified unless, you're like actually chasing the saber-toothed tiger, or the saber-toothed tiger is chasing you. You know what I mean? But like, the I'm scared to do this thing because it's new and it's unknown. Well, how about you do the thing scared? Because I feel like it's probably going to be really good for you, and it's probably going to help somebody else. Like, I am terrified right now podcasting in my messy ass room. Like, don't look back there. Don't look back there. Um, I That's why we have the emotional support hoodie on, right? Because I don't want to do this, but I know I'm supposed to be doing this. So here we are, and I have no idea who's going to be listening to this. Probably no one. That's okay. I don't necessarily need anybody to listen. I need to do the speaking, because I don't know. I just like kept feeling like nobody was hearing me, so I just stopped talking. I was like, I'm just wasting my breath at this point because they're not hearing me anyway, so why should I even bother? Well, you bother for yourself because you are worth whatever you have to say. Like, you are worth saying it. So say the thing. So here I am saying the thing, right? I really truly believe that once we can find that safety, and then we can really start unmasking, and I'm just gonna apparently do the Macarena over here. Anyways, so distraction. Um, I'm really sorry if you're wearing headphones. I wonder how often my podcast is just going to be me laughing, like just laughing at myself. I do that a lot. We don't take ourselves too seriously around here, or we take ourselves very seriously and we need to have some fun and lighten up. So, like I said in the last episode, we're swinging the pendulum too far in either direction. We're hoping we land in the middle somewhere. But anyways, so yeah, you get safe, then you start unmasking, you find your most authentic self, and you find what you really like. Because I still don't know what I like. I know what I don't want, but I don't know what I want. I don't know what else is out there, right? Because I've been in this vacuum, in this shitty vacuum that hasn't been emptied in who knows how long. And so there's just the same shit, different day, right? So that's why I moved so far away from everybody I knew, because I needed a new environment. I needed to get away from everybody and everything, and I needed things to look different. Because if things could look different, then maybe I could convince myself that they could be different, right? And I don't recommend that all the time. Like you can't just like pick up and move every time you need to get your head straight, right? But this time I really needed that because, 38 years is a really long time to keep repeating the same cycles over and over and over and over again. And I didn't just drop all of them at once. It's been a period of time. I think I really started working on myself in like 2016 was when it really started. Um, I was married, I was doing a job I didn't like, and I was angry all the time. Anger was like the anti-aircraft of my arsenal. It was just shooting down everything before it could even get close to me. And sometimes it would wait until things were up over the top of me and then just like rain fire down. You know what I mean? It was bad. Everything was anger. Everything was anger. And it was so bad. It was so awful. And it was ruining my life and it was ruining my relationships. And once I was finally like, oh my God, why am I so angry all the time? Uh, and I really started to sit with anger. Anger told me my name really isn't anger. My name is sadness, or my name is fear, or my name is upset. Excuse me, or whatever. It was really that anger was the front line of defense against everything. And I was like, well, I guess we need to soften that, right? Like if we can make the anger softer, it's still a defense mechanism, but it isn't annihilating everything before it can even get close enough to me for me to see what it is. So I started working through the anger first. And once I'd worked through some of the anger, then I unfortunately slipped and fell headfirst into the despair. Um, and the despair and I went rounds. Like it had tentacles. It was bad. No, that's not some kinky anything. It was my pit of despair. That's what I call it. I have the pit of despair, which at this point I know was a wound that had festered so badly that it became the pit of despair. But I've cleaned out the pit of despair. The wound is slowly healing. Everything is going to be fine. Every once in a while, it leaks a little sludge and I slip in it, but otherwise, I'm doing okay. We're doing all right, folks. Yeah. um, but yeah, so I had to move out of the anger and I moved into the despair and the depression, and it was really awful. It was really, really awful. And it was messy, and I alienated like everybody around me. And there was this point where I didn't know if I was triggered or if people were just being assholes. Uh and I think it's somewhere in between. I really think it's somewhere in between. I grew up in a place I didn't belong. Like I have always known I didn't belong where I was. I couldn't commiserate with anybody I knew. We constantly misunderstood each other. It was never like I never felt seen ever. I always felt isolated. I could be in a room full of people and they'd be actively engaging with me, and I'd still feel absolutely alone by myself. I couldn't relate to other people. I couldn't I couldn't see myself in other people because really that's what happens, right? We see ourselves in other people and that's how we relate to them. And I didn't see anything of myself in any of these people. So then that's when I started masking and I started, convincing myself that I needed to be somebody else because then all these people could relate with me and then they liked me. And they only liked me because I was bending over backwards for them. And when I stopped bending over backwards for them, they didn't like me anymore. And that's okay because I was technically lying to them. And I really struggle with that. Like I was lying to everybody and I wasn't trying to be malicious at all whatsoever, but I was lying to everybody because they didn't like me. So I gave them what I thought they would like. And uh I mean, being a chameleon has always been very natural to me. It's very second nature to just like mirror people back at them. That's just what I do. And there's a time and a place for that, really, because you can't just do it all the time. It's not like your closest, most intimate relationships. You shouldn't be a chameleon. You should be you. So that way, you and that person in that relationship can have a very authentic relationship instead of them just liking the mask that you're showing them. So nobody knew who I was because they just knew the mask. And that feels really disingenuous and it makes me feel kind of icky. But I didn't know that I could be myself because nobody liked me as a kid. So as an adult, I wasn't me, I was somebody else. I was a responsible adult doing responsible adult things. And I got married because that's what you're supposed to do. And I had a corporate job because that's what you're supposed to do, when really I am just a chaotic artist and a free spirit, and I it was killing me. Sure, I'm broke as hell right now, but I'm not anybody other than me. And I know that being a broke artist takes its toll on the people around you, and I'm very, very sorry for that. But at this point, there's very few people left around me. We are slowly attracting the people that are going to like the authentic Melissa instead of the pretend Melissa, because we're done pretending. We're not pretending anymore. There's no more pretending. And I really feel like as a whole we need to stop pretending, right? Like, don't just tell people you're good if you're not good. Like, that's my goal though, is to like tell you I'm good and mean it. Because nobody actually wants to hear how you are. They're just being polite when they're like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" And that's not everybody. I mean, like in a casual social setting. "Oh, hey, how are you?" "Oh, I'm good." You're lying. You're just lying because that person doesn't actually want to know how you are. They just want like the surface level version, right? Um, and I think that makes me salty because I have spent all of this life so far diving headfirst into an inch puddle, thinking it was the ocean or whatever. Because I know how deep people can be. I am a very deep person, but I've been doggy paddling in my own psyche because people can't handle anything deeper than that. And then when you think you're going to enter into this relationship with someone and you really feel like, okay, they want to be vulnerable, they want to be intimate, let's dive. Well, then you hit your head on the bottom because it was like an inch deep. And it's like, well, hell. and not everything can be that deep. I know people tell me all the time, like, it's not that deep. I'm like, well, it can be. You just don't want it to be that deep. Okay, fine. And if you tell me like, Melissa, I don't want to get deep, I'm like, okay, cool. Then we'll doggy paddle. But like, I like diving in. I like fucking snorkeling, like I want it to be that deep. I want everything to be that deep because I'm that deep, like we can deep sea dive if you want to. I will absolutely let you deep sea dive. It's not necessarily a good thing to do all the time because there are sea monsters in there still somewhere, but as long as you don't find the Kraken, like it's safe to deep sea dive with me. And even if you did find the Kraken, I would try my very best to fend the Kraken off for you while we're deep sea diving. And there I go with the weird metaphors again. I am so sorry. This is how I am. I confuse people. That's okay. I confuse me too. So here we are trying to be our most authentic self. Here I am feeling safe to be myself because I believe that nobody's going to watch this. And I'm going to keep believing that to make myself feel safe. Oh, geez. Because yeah, if nobody's watching it, then nobody's hearing me or seeing me, and it's safe because I'm not being perceived. But I'm probably going to be perceived and I'm going to feel some type of way about it. That's where the emotional support hoodie comes in, right? I'm just gonna put my hood up. Oh, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit over my headphones and my hair clip and all of that. Anyways, look at this. We're already 24 minutes in, and I just finally looked at the time. Um, I think I really am going to try and keep these right around 30 to 35 minutes. I don't want to like ramble at you for an hour. Ramble at me for an hour. um so I really do feel like once we can be, the most authentic version of ourselves and really dive deep into our own psyche, then we can have deeper, more authentic relationships with other people. But yeah, like I was starting to try and tell you, and then I got derailed because duh, I'm gonna get derailed. Um, when you first decide to become the most authentic version of yourself, a lot of people just leave. And that's okay because they weren't meant for the most authentic version of you. They were meant for the mask. They were meant for whoever you were pretending to be, whoever you were making yourself out to be. And, a lot of people aren't doing it maliciously. They really are just feeling unsafe and feeling triggered. So they become somebody else to be safe and less triggered. And so, you attract what you're putting out there. So once you stop putting out there that you want the bullshit and you start putting out there that this is who I am and this is what I want, then you start attracting the right things, but everything has to leave to make room for the right people. So I am in the middle of having made all this space and I'm sitting in the emptiness that's left. And I'm thinking, shit, did I make a mistake? Like, was this a mistake? Because, I basically kicked everybody out of my life. I was like, well, I'm not bending over backwards anymore. And so I stopped reaching out all the time, and people didn't reach out to me. So I just left it that way. I'm like, I'm just going to be hands off with this. Like, if you're not going to reach out to me, I'm not going to reach out to you because I felt like I was always reaching out to everybody. And sometimes that's really hard being the one that reaches out because sometimes I like get caught up in whatever's going on and I'll like forget to reach out. It's not that I forget that you exist, it's that I forget to reach out to you that I need to like talk to you because our relationship is our relationship in my head and it doesn't need to be like I don't know where I'm going with that. Anyways, but yeah, you have to make room for the right people. And making room for the right people is really painful and it's really isolating and it's really jarring. But it's necessary because you make all the room for the right people and the right people come into your life and everything is just fantastic. And I don't know if you can hear what my microphone is doing or if it's my headphones, but I'm just like, I've got I've got my little soundboard here. Like, I feel like a professional. Anyways, wow. I've said anyways a lot today, haven't I? That's all right. Here we are, doing the thing. Thing in the do. Why am I like this? Oh, why am I like this? All right, so I think I'm just going to cut it off there. Thank you for listening to me ramble for 28 minutes. I really appreciate it. Uh, Smash that like, smash that subscribe. I hate saying that. I'm not going to say that anymore because I can't do it seriously. But again, this is Random Ass Missy. I'm Melissa Missy, Static Missy, whatever. Call me what you like. I'll probably answer to it anyway. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I hope that there's something in here for you. Otherwise, why are you here, right? And let me know in the comments like if you've ever felt unsafe to the point where you thought you had to change something about yourself and like what what helped you become safe, because I feel like it's a little bit of throwing things against the wall to see what sticks. But that's usually my methodology. And maybe other people have really good methods that are not throwing everything against the wall to see what sticks, because then you have a messy wall and a bunch of broken stuff on the floor. Anyways, thank you again. I will talk to you later. Bye.